Coach Michael Hughes, it is great to have a one-on-one with you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. It's a beautiful day here in Southern Rhode Island, and things are going well.
Awesome. Now you've had an amazing career, golf pro, teaching pro, head of an academy, and then got into coaching. So first of all, what got you into coaching originally?
Well, it's kind of happenstance. I was working as the director of golf at Ken Venturi's Golf Academy in Chicago, and one of my assistants there was the head coach at DePaul. I hadn't really thought much about teaching, or I should say coaching, but as a teacher, you're always trying to make players better. So we had a deal with the DePaul team where they would come to our facility and practice, and so I got to be friendly with a couple of the kids there and help them out. I think as little as I could. And the head coach there said to me one day, "Look, I can't make this tournament. We're going down to Indianapolis playing the Butler Invitational. Do you think you could take the team down for me and coach?" I said, "Well, I don't know anything about coaching." I mean, he said something that is proved very prophetic. You don't have to know a lot about coaching to be a coach. Pretty sure I made a career out of that, but I said, "Sure, I'll take him down there." So I went down. I was driving the carts where I shouldn't be. I was, making noise when I shouldn't be. I just didn't have any idea what I was doing. Well, the DePaul golf team provided me with the win that day at the Butler Invitational, and it's the only college tournament I ever won. The first one I coached. So fast forward a little bit, I continued to work with them, and then decided to move back to Rhode Island, where I'm from originally. When I did that, I applied for a job that became open as the women's coach at Brown University's in Providence, and I didn't get it. They hired a mutual friend of ours, Danielle Griffiths, who was the right fit for the program at the time and certainly more experienced than I was. But while I was there, the athletic director said, "Would you be interested in doing some assistant work? As a part time, not a graduate assistant, but an unpaid volunteer assistant." I said, "Sure," and so I did that under Mike Harbour, who's a PGA pro that is from Rhode Island, and we were good friends. And I did a lot of the stuff that he just didn't like to do, which, as you know, as a coach, there's a lot of administrative and bureaucratic stuff that goes on, and tack on the fact that it's a college at an Ivy League school, and there's all kinds of rules and regulations and compliance. So I got pretty good at that. He decided to leave to go to teach at Desert Mountain or Desert Highlands, I think, in Southern California, out in the desert in Palm Springs. And when he did, they gave me the reins of the program, and 17 and a half years later, there I was. So that's how I initially got into it, but having no more idea how to coach than the man in the moon. And I will tell a funny little quick story here about a mutual friend of ours, Richie Parker, who was at the first tournament I coached at, which was, I think it was the New England Championship at Triggs Golf Course in Providence. So I see him, he's up on the side with Jimmy Burke, who's the coach at Harvard, and they're standing in the rough. And I'm out there with my player, and I'm walking along with him, and Richie says, "Hey, what are you doing?" So I turn around, I go, "What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm coaching." He goes, "No, you're not. Get up here with us." And it proved to be a valuable lesson because I think too many coaches, if there are coaches watching this, I apologize in advance for what I'm about to say. But these coaches have to learn that you're not in the equation anymore. The kids are playing the round of golf. All you can do is muck it up. So stay out of the way and let them go play.
Nice.
And so Richie Parker provided me with one of many valuable pieces of advice over the years, and I've known him the longest of the coaches. So that's how I got into coaching and how I remained.
Now you and I went to China to view a golf course in Shanghai in 2016, and that was super fun. Just that was my first time going to China was 2016 with you, and that golf course was amazing, and then we decided to do a camp together. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was one of the finest experiences of my life going over to China because I'd never been there either. I had been abroad a couple times. I'd been to Japan twice and Taiwan once. So I had done schools over in the Far East. But first time on mainland China, and the golf course was King Swan, if you remember.
Yeah.
And it was a good golf course. And I also remember, without question, the hottest I've ever been in a facility in my life. On the
Yeah.
putting green, Will Green and I were talking, and I was starting to see little dots running around in my face. I said, "This is going to be the end. I'm going to come to my end in just outside of Nanjing, China." But I, I wish the school had been a little bit more successful. But I take pride, and I know you do too, in the fact that we brought some golf acumen to the masses in China for young folks, and um, I follow that up by going to China, I think, three more times since the time I went with you, and I also went to Thailand twice. And so I feel good about the fact that I've been able to teach students in various places on Earth, and hopefully they've become a little better for it if they've taken just one small iota of knowledge that I possess, and they received that and used it. That I'm happy that I went.
Nice. Now you retired from Brown and now you are doing something pretty exciting with me, and I'm super excited to have you on my team. I feel like we're like hockey teammates.
We are. I'll let you. I'll pass the puck to you though, and let you score because you're better at this than I am. Yeah, look, I say to myself here after I retired, I wanted to do something that would be meaningful to especially younger folks to maybe get some of the knowledge that I've was fortunate enough to get over my career. And how can I do that and still stay in touch with some of my coaching buddies and make some sort of a supplement to my Social Security as I get older. Um, but look, every bit of advice that I've passed along has been passed along to me. So as a coach, I think you've got to be a great plagiarist. You've got to be able to have taken some things and discard them as nonsense, and some stuff is just rhetoric, and some stuff that's actually good. Um, yeah, I'm excited now to be helping you out for preparing kids for the navigation that ultimately comes from trying to transition from high school to college. And one of the coaches we just interviewed was saying it's gratifying when you can see the young man or young woman come in to you as a coach or a teacher and how they progress and what happens to them down the road.
Hmm.
And yeah, I couldn't be happier doing what we're doing. My biggest asset is the network of people that I've met over the years, and it's nice to know that I can pick up a phone and call somebody. Now, look, these coaches they're in it for their well-being. They're trying to make the best, give the best accounting they can of their teams, and to that extent, they're not going to be picking up the phone call from Mike Hughes or from TJ if we can't provide them a service. So hopefully we are able to get the right fit for that student athlete that's looking to play golf as an addendum. Now, and we have a saying here, and I know you agree with it. There's a place for everybody to play golf.
Yeah, that's one thing I was really thinking is that's so true. It's, even if somebody's shooting 125, there's a place for them.
Right. If you're a club golfer and that's all you want to do, that's fine with me, and that's fine with you, and that's what you should aspire to. If you decide that school is way more important than golf, then you should play club golf.
Hmm.
If you think that school is a useful tool to place you into a great job down the road where you can become a member at a prestigious country club, that's okay too. I think we filled the void of not being pigeonholed into a corner to say, well, no, look, we need to get you to Harvard, we need to get you to Brown University, we need to get you to Pomona. We will look at all kinds of avenues and try to find the best fit for you.
Yeah, whether it's instead of say 1, 2, or 3 or NAIA. Like I sent both my kids to NAIA school.
Yeah, I was a Division two golfer myself. Had a rather unremarkable college career. I'd say I was probably a good number two guy on a Division two school in New Hampshire. So, I mean, we weren't going to go to the NCAA's, but it filled the void of me to be a competitive sportsman, and I enjoyed every second I played with golf at my school at St. Anselm College in New Hampshire.
And we look like navigating the whole university process. Like there's a lot of things that um, parents or kids don't know. And
There
yeah,
are,
yeah,
yeah, and it's not because of ignorance. It's just there's a lot of things to go through. I mean, I think you and I don't know everything.
yeah.
I swear to God, the most fun thing you've ever said to me the other day was we're flying the plane as we're building the plane. And we're learning as we go, but I think we have two good minds together, and we've accomplished a lot over the years in our different realms. And it's gratifying to be able to pass that knowledge along, and be it how to write a resume, or things I would look for as a coach, or things you would look at as a grip. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into making a well-rounded not only student athlete, but just a person in general. And I think we can help out with all those aspects.
And even something as simple as the extracurriculars. I think that goes with what we keep hearing with the coaches of, they need to have character, they need to have passion. So I think that's also something that's overlooked. You have these kids that are one dimensional, only training for golf and only studying. But that's only just a small piece of it.
I can comment directly on that because, I was never the most successful coach record wise, but I will tell you, and this is unequivocally, I never had a bad kid. Not one. In all the years I coached at Brown, I never had one single kid where I said, oh, God, this kid's a pain in the butt. Uh, because it was part of my recruiting spiel when I would go to them. I said, look, I'm looking for high character, high quality kids. I looked at the parents. One of the coaches said today, how do they treat their parents? I pay attention to that stuff all the time. I saw a kid once come off a putting green after three putting from about 8 feet, and his mother said, here, Johnny, here's your water bottle. He grabbed the water bottle, threw it over his right shoulder, and said, I don't want any goddamn water. I said,
Wow.
okay. I had come up to specifically watch this kid, prepared to offer him a spot. I got right in my car. I turned around from Killington, Vermont, drove the 4 hours back to Rhode Island. He called me that night, and I felt it my duty. I shouldn't have said anything because, but I'm Irish, and sometimes we get our temper up. I said, I was appalled at the way you treated your mother. If you're going to treat her like that, you're not going to treat me with any more respect. So good luck. You're not coming to Brown. And
Wow.
I know that young man did not end up going to an Ivy League school simply because people heard what had happened. And hey, you treat people with respect, and those are things I'm looking for. I'm looking for intangibles that maybe the coach at XYZ University says, well, I don't care what he does, he can shoot 65. I would look at it the other way and say, he can't shoot 65, but he's going to be a valuable member of the society. That's what I'm looking for.
Mhm. It's the same like we've interviewed quite a few coaches and they said, yeah, he might be able to shoot 65, but he's not playing for me.
Yeah, well, it's true. And look, you gravitate towards folks that think the same way you do. And I know how close we are at the Ivy League level as far as coaches are concerned. I mean, I've traveled all over the world with these guys. We see each other socially. We play a lot of golf together. Um, I've been to some of their birthday parties. I've been to a couple of their weddings for their sons. So it's a fraternity that I'm very proud to have been a member of. I still consider myself to be a coach, so I guess I'm still part of the fraternity. But yeah, look, if you can't, the thing that they said that resonates with me is culture trumps everything. If the
Yeah.
culture of the team is such that kids like to get along, they study together, they eat together, they do good community things together. So I mean, those are kids that I'm looking for when I was recruiting. Look, I had an almost unattainable mark for academics that I had to meet. The benchmark was such that for me to get a student to be accepted or to get one of his sponsored slots, you had to be an academic superstar. Well, sometimes that doesn't lend itself to being the best golfer. So I've always would say, my record is what my record is, and I stand by it. But there are mitigating circumstances. I always had, a threshold where you hope that you could meet, but if you did, the chances are you wouldn't have a very good team because it's hard to do both things, play great and do great things in this classroom together. So,
Mhm. Yes, yeah. I was going to ask you one thing, what was a little bit off the topic, Coach, but do you think private school is super important into for a high schooler, or do you think like being the best at a public school is totally just as fine?
well, I was a public school guy growing up, and and I'm a self-admitted fence jumper when it comes time to playing golf. I was a caddy that would hop the fence at Metacomet Country Club in Rhode Island and sneak on and play as many holes as I could before somebody came away and said, "Well, what's this reprobate doing? Get him the hell off the golf course." But I turned that into becoming a caddy, and from the caddy, I worked in the pro shop as a caddy master. Then I was this low level assistant. Got into the PGA program and turned professional, and kind of off I went. But the it's a it's a question that I think that that it has multi layers. You can't look at any one instance in golf. It's like playing around a golf. You never have the same lie twice.
Yeah.
You ever
Or the
go
same chip shot or the,
Yeah, you ever go around a golf and you say, "Geez, I never hit my 5 iron today." And I
yes.
always thought that to be odd that we play a sport that every instance is different, and I think that's the same thing for the question. Um,
Which brings me back to the kid, like all these kids, all want to play at university, and we have a lot of schools now, like probably over 1,000 schools. So there's like there's a university for everyone.
yeah, and we go back to. I was trying to think of a good example of the question you asked me about public versus private. One of our uh, one of our very best kids, you and I both ever had, you gave to me is Kevin Lee,
Yeah,
who could not be a nicer young man.
yeah.
Was a great player. He's, at least last I knew, he was working at Facebook, I think, or no, is it Facebook? Is that what it is?
One of those big companies, those
Yeah,
big like social companies.
yeah. No, no, the guy that owns, his Twitter. That's what it is, Twitter.
Right, yes, yes, yes.
So, but here's a young man that came. I remember you telling me about this young man, and he came to me, and we went. This is fun. I like to tell these funny stories because they're funny to me. I hope they're funny to the audience. But we were in Southern California for spring break, and we had rented a house. And my assistant, Andy Falcone, who is a very, very fine player, he's played in the U.S. Amateur a couple of times. He's played the mid amateur. I think he's the reigning senior mid am player in New Hampshire. But to make a long story even longer, he played that day with Kevin, and Andy shot 70. Kevin shot 69. So they come back to the house, and they were doing a crossword puzzle. And every time Andy got stumped, he'd say, 6 letter word for uh, fruit, and it would be citrus or something. So Kevin would get that. Then they had a ping pong table. They played ping pong, and Kevin, I don't know if you know this or not, even though he's one of your students, he's a phenomenal ping pong player. So he he beats Andy, and as he's going down the stairs, he sits down. There's a piano in the place. He starts playing Chopin. Andy Falcone says, you little bastard, if you do one more thing good, I'm going to beat the snot out of you. So I always thought that fun story was funny. But so for that particular instance, I think he was at St. George's. Is that where he went to?
Yeah, yeah.
That was good. And then I've got a kid that Sasha Lobel, who's playing golf. He was partial status on the European tour, and was a great player. And he was the first tee kid. He was a public kid. He was a golf course rat. He hung around golf course. So to answer your initial question in a long circuitous way, I don't know what's better. I think that each kid is an individual, and just like the lives you get on the golf course, they're all different.
I like that. I like that. And I think the final thing I'd like to say is you and I both have a passion for helping these kids find their way.
I hope I do. I haven't lost the zest and the zeal for teaching. People that are watching this may or may not know that I have an impairment with my eyes, which limits me to about 25% of vision. And like a day like today, now that the sun is up, it's going to be a good day for me today because the sun is high and I'll be able to see more. But it's a challenge. But I still have students that want me to teach them. I had two kids that are one's going to be is coincidentally enough going to NYU. He's not going to
Yeah.
play golf there. He's not good enough to play, but he wants to play club golf. But his younger brother, who's only 12, is I think in his age group is now ranked the third kid in Rhode Island.
Wow.
And they said, Coach, we want to stay with you. I said, well, I can't see the ball land. Well, what can you see? I said, well, I can see your silhouette of your golf swing. If you make a bad swing and you don't finish on the toe of your right foot, I'm going to come over and hit you with an alignment stick. And so they started laughing. But see, I teach differently than other people. I will threaten bodily harm if you don't do what I tell you to. Joking, I'm joking. But yeah, I like yourself. This is what this is what gets the adrenaline pumping and your heart
I
beating.
agree. It's almost like when you place well, I had my first Harvard kid. She set every Harvard record last year,
Yeah.
which was awesome. I taught her since she was 11. So it is a thrill when you can, have the kid follow through and then the kid just thrive, and you think,
Don't
okay,
listen.
I
Don't
just did.
dismiss the fact that Kevin felt the same way about this girl
Hmm. Oh,
because
he felt the same way.
yes,
Nice.
look, um, I mean, you sent me a person. I won't get into the details, but you sent me a person who decided not to come to Brown. He went to another school, which he did great at, and he's flourishing. But his father liked the presentation we had for him so much, and thought so much of us that he donated a van to it
Yeah.
to a school which his
And a
son
beautiful van.
beautiful van. We're still driving it. Uh, that's still the greatest recruiting story of all time. That a kid that ended up going to another Ivy League school's parents would donate a van to us because they liked the experience we gave him when he came to campus. But hey, look, this crazy game has provided me with more thrills and more fun than any one person is used to. I mean, I've sat on the Great Wall of China. I've been to the Wall City in Bangkok, and I've been on the Swilkenburn Bridge in St. Andrews, all because of chasing a small little white ball around a hole. It's I've had forget my eyes, so my medical conditions. I've had more fun than any human being should have a right to.
We love having you on our team, and I'm super excited to see where this it really is for you and I, where this new venture is gonna go.
Yeah, it's remember now, it's not the destination. The thrill sometimes is in the voyage.
Agreed. All right, Coach Hughes, thank you very much for that insightful. I love your story. So I could yeah. Hey, like you say, I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, look, half of them are malarkey, but it's okay. There's a line from the Jimmy Buffett song. It's a semi-true story, believe it or not. There's some things I remember and there's few things I forgot.
Oh. All
All right, I
right.
gotta go walk. I gotta go walk Finnegan the dog.
Okay. Thanks, coach.
See you guys.